Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Do not worry, we will get to these impeachment votes, the witness voting, so to speak, in this Senate trial. It could be coming to an end. We'll get to that coming up here in just a few minutes. But a situation that took place in Des Moines, Iowa is very interesting and sad to me, and it is one of the main reasons why I am not a Joe Biden supporter. I want to play you a story that came out of KCCI, which is out of Des Moines, and it's a story about Joe Biden having a little bit of a run-in with a local Iowa voter by the name of Ed Fallon. Have a listen to this.
I was really kind of taken aback. I was genuinely shocked.
Des Moines activist Ed Fallon says his brief conversation with Vice President Joe Biden happened Sunday.
Thank you.
Biden made a quick campaign stop at Urban Dreams in Des Moines. Fallon waited in line for a picture and wanted to confront Biden on his climate change proposals. Another member of Fallon's Bold Iowa group recorded the cell phone video.
I'm going to support you if you win the nomination because we got to get rid of Trump.
It started off fine, but Biden quickly became agitated when Fallon didn't agree to support him in the caucuses.
We got to stop building and replacing pipelines. You got to go vote for somebody else.
All right, thanks so much, sir. We're going to have you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I'm going to vote you in the general if you treat me
Yeah,
right.
I know. Well, I'm not.
Well, can I have a
Look,
Thank you.
you're asking a picture of me and coming up and telling me you don't support me.
No.
My plan. Yeah, you did. You said you
I said I would support you in the
in
general.
the general. I'm looking for a primary.
We're happy to
and a
get a number.
caucus.
We can follow up.
That's what I'm looking for, okay?
Just because
Now,
we're trying to get.
you believe that Bernie can do something by 2030?
I'm actually supporting Tom Steyer.
The first surprise is that Biden told Fallon to vote for someone else.
I did not expect to be told to leave, to go vote for somebody else, and then to be lectured about.
And then he presses on Fallon's chest, pokes him with a finger, and finally grabs his jacket with two hands.
It was not appropriate interaction for anybody. I mean, if I'd done that to him, the security would have been all over me.
Fallon is not asking for an apology from the Biden campaign, but he would take one. He's more concerned with finding the right candidate to fight climate change and beat President Trump.
I don't think he can beat Trump. I really don't. And you have actively telling people like me, don't vote for me, go vote for somebody else. Well, that's not helpful. That's not helpful at all.
Well, the guy joining us on the line right now is that man, Ed Fallon, who had this run-in with Joe Biden. Ed, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. How are you?
What's up, Ed?
Hello, I'm good.
Well, Ed, when you hear that story, I'm sure when you asked to take a picture with Joe Biden, you didn't expect to be a part of the story and have that sort of exchange, did you?
No, I thought we would just have another. I mean, gosh, I've talked to the guy, well, me or others with Bold, Iowa. We've probably talked to him a dozen times, and I didn't expect it to go that way.
So,
I might just answer the question, you know?
Of course. So a normal reaction to me, and again, I'm not a politician, but a normal reaction would be like, all right, well, how do I get you to vote for me in this, in this primary? Tell me, what do you need? And then I would listen to you. But let me ask you this question first. And by the way, I am not defending Joe Biden the way he treated you. I thought it was disgusting. Okay, let me just be clear on this. I'm on your side. However, set the scene for me. How many people are waiting in line to take a picture with the vice president?
Not that many, actually. It was, I don't know, 25, 35 maybe. I'm not quite sure.
All right.
There were people in front of me who had taken a lot longer to gab with him than I was. They just
okay, that's important.
Didn't like what was going on.
Okay, it's important to get that kind of context because my first reaction was, okay, I think it's a fair question what you asked, but how many people are waiting in line? Maybe he was a little agitated and he was in a rush, but from what you're telling me, that was not the case. So what is going through your mind? Let's start with the physical aspect of what took place here. What is going through your mind? Because in the video, he grabs you with both of his hands. He grabs like your jacket. That's beyond inappropriate. And then he points his finger in your chest. What is going through your mind when he's making that sort of physical contact with you?
Well, I wasn't totally surprised because that's the second time that Joe Biden has poked me in the chest.
You're kidding me.
Another video, there's another video of me and Kathy and a whole bunch of Grinnell College students talking with him after a CNN forum in Grinnell last year, and he got kind of physical with us then too. Not as much. I mean, this was worse, but I wasn't totally surprised. But it just shocked me that he would tell me to go vote for somebody else.
Yeah, why would he?
To answer the question.
That's just so pompous. So let me ask you this. Again, I'm not a politician, but let me ask you this. If he had responded to you in kind by saying, and didn't touch you, and just said, sir, Mr. Fallon, tell me what I need to do in order for you to support me and caucus for me. What do I need to do? And let's just say you mentioned the pipeline and you mentioned some of the other things that are important to you. If he actually listened to you, could that have changed your mind?
Probably not, because we've been talking to him for a long time, and it's pretty clear that other candidates are stronger on climate than Joe Biden is, and stronger. And again, I think Iowans are concerned about climate change and healthcare. Those are our top two concerns. But the overriding concern is who can beat Donald Trump. And I think it's becoming clearer and clearer to more and more people here that this is not the guy who can do it. He's not focused. He's not stable. He's not clear about where he stands, and he just has an inability to control his hands and his tongue. I mean, the gaps are all over the place as well.
I don't disagree with that.
Do you think that the Democrats have a viable candidate right now to beat Trump?
But I think here's my take. The Democrats have been making the mistake, for the most part, of nominating insider candidates. Well, Republicans have made that mistake too. Every presidential candidate who has been perceived to be the insider in this century has lost. Al Gore, John Kerry, John McCain, Mitt Romney, Hillary Clinton. The insider always loses. People are fed up with the status quo across the political spectrum. So when you get a candidate like Joe Biden, the consummate insider, yeah, you're going to see another Trump victory. But I think if you start thinking about who's kind of coming at it from a more edgy, outside, provocative perspective, you've got Sanders, Warren, Steyer, again, my favorite, Steyer. You got Tulsi Gabbard. I think Tulsi Gabbard would have been a really strong opponent for Trump, but she's been kind of tanked by the DNC and some of their allies in the corporate media.
Right.
So I think there are plenty of candidates who can give Trump a good run for his money. It ain't Joe Biden.
All right, if you're just joining us, we're speaking with Ed Fallon, an Iowa voter who had a run-in with Joe Biden. I think it's fair to call it that. Biden was extremely rude to him, put his finger in his chest, grabbed him with both of his hands, and said, "Don't vote for me." I mean, just absolutely. I'm just blown away. This is the guy that's trying to be the president of the United States.
It's just crazy to think about when you actually when you describe it like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Okay, Ed, let's talk a little politics, though. So you said you're a Tom Steyer supporter. I'm going to tell you why I am not a Tom Steyer supporter. You can tell me where you think I'm wrong. I don't want a billionaire running this country. I don't want somebody that does not know what it's like living paycheck to pay. Now, listen, I have a lot of respect for him. Unlike Donald Trump, nobody handed Tom Steyer anything. He started small, so I do have respect for him. But I'm more comfortable with a guy like a Pete Buttigieg, who is not worth a gazillion dollars, who knows what it's like in the year 2022 struggle. And that's, I mean, my personal opinion, you put Tom Steyer on a stage with Donald Trump, Tom Steyer has absolutely no chance to win. Now, with that being said, I'm not a Joe Biden supporter. I don't want to vote for the guy, but a lot of people say this to me. They say, the Democrats, they say, if Joe Biden gives the Democrats the best chance to win in the battleground states, therefore the best chance to defeat Donald Trump. Where am I wrong? Where do you disagree?
Well, I think, I have a natural inclination to not want to support billionaires as well.
Yeah.
And one advantage that I knew you have this advantage in Nevada as well. You get to vote after New Hampshire, which is, I think, pretty cool. But I've spent a lot of time with Steyer. He's been over to my house. His wife has been here. His daughter's been here. Yeah. And we've talked to them extensively. I've probably spent 3 hours with them altogether, maybe more.
I respect that.
It kind of, he's really sharp, and his wife and his daughter are just brilliant when it comes to sustainable agriculture, and that's really important to me and my partner Kathy. We are urban farmers. We grow food, and they understand that a lot, and that meant a lot to me. But one thing is, Steyer is the only candidate saying that he will declare a climate emergency on day one. I asked Sanders the same question, and Sanders didn't say he would do that. He kind of deflected the question and said, "Well, yeah, we're going to do. We're offering legislation to declare a climate emergency. How long is that going to take?"
Well, that's fair. Yeah. Oh, listen,
so
it's fair.
To me, Steyer's ahead in that category, and he's a nice guy.
Listen, I'm going to take you for your word. I've never spent time with Tom Steyer, and the fact that you have and that he was in your home, I respect that a great deal. And it's not that I don't have respect for Steyer, by the way. Like I said, his father didn't hand him a $500 million company. He earned it. That is something about Steyer I do respect a great deal. I have to ask you this. Has Joe Biden ever sniffed your hair or, kissed you on the neck, or has he ever gone that far?
No, he hasn't. But funny story, though. I was a legislator for 14 years, and then I ran for governor in 2006, and I did pretty well. So I started getting calls from all the candidates, and Joe Biden called, and I said, well, let's get together for beer and pizza. I was kind of being a smart ass, and he took me up on it. So we had a beer. We had a game of pool. He won. He's pretty good at pool, by the way. And he never sniffed my hair in the entire hour we were together. But I will say this. He asked me, so what did you talk about in your campaign? And I spoke for about 20 seconds, and then he went off, and he talked for the next hour. And I realized I can never support this guy. He is not a listener.
Oh,
He's got great stories. He's very entertaining. He does not know how to listen.
However,
back in 06.
That's an interesting story. However, I will say this. When he's on the debate stage, he's said time and time again, I think my time is up. So I think he chokes under pressure. That's just my personal opinion. Yeah.
That is an interesting habit of his, yes.
Yeah, it is.
Do you think that he is all there mentally? I mean, do you think he has the mental acuity to handle a role like the President of the United States?
You know, that's a good question. I don't feel like I'm a judge of that or really can tell, but I do say when you hear him up close, he makes lots of ridiculous errors. I mean, once when we were so we do some edgy things here with Bold, Iowa. We had 6 people dressed like penguins standing in front of him at his announcement rally on May 1st, and we forced him to talk more about climate. And he was identifying the major oil producers in the world, and he said Nicaragua, and I checked, and Nicaragua's total global output, total output of oil is 0 barrels a year. So I think he meant Venezuela, but it's a strange mix-up.
Oh boy,
he was talking about the Dakota Access Pipeline and the oil coming from Canada. No, it comes from North Dakota. And instead of saying, "Oh, I'm wrong," he tried to somehow say that he was still right. It was just. He's not tracking on a lot of details.
No, he's not,
and just doesn't handle it very well.
And again,
when he's wrong.
And again, I've said it time and time again. I'm not a Joe Biden supporter. It'd be very difficult for me to vote for him under any circumstance. But listen, you have my approval, and this is all that matters, Ed. If you ever get into a situation where Joe Biden puts his finger into your chest, slap it away. Go ahead. If the Secret Service tackles you, sue their asses. He is in your personal space. Bite his finger off. Take it away. No, don't do that, Ed. We don't want you to get arrested.
That's very entertaining advice, but I'm not sure it's good advice.
It's probably not good advice, Joe. Ed,
it's very questionable advice.
Ed, don't listen to me. You could sniff his hair, though. He might enjoy that. But, Ed, in all seriousness, my friend, thank you so much for coming on. I'm sorry that he treated you that way. You sound like an extremely intelligent guy, and I respect your vote for Tom Steyer. I really do. Even though I might not be voting for him, I respect the fact that you've actually met him and all that. We appreciate your time, Ed. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
All right.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ed.
We appreciate that. All right, when we come back, we have some impeachment talk to get to, and it has a lot to do with voting on witnesses. The Trump impeachment trial is resuming as we speak. We're going to get to that and why I think at least one Republican, many of them perhaps, but at least one is an absolute coward for the way he voted yesterday in regards to witnesses. We'll talk about Representative Alexander coming up next. You're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON.